Welcome to Key Conversations, where you get to connect with the best of the music business, unlocking the secrets to exploding your music career, presented by In the Key of Success. I'm your host, Cheryl B. Engelhardt. The conversations you're about to hear are between our special guest and participants of my MX4 course, the Marketing and Branding, Money-Making, Mentorship Mastermind for Musicians. They are singers, songwriters, composers, producers, and artists just like you, asking their burning questions of our experts while transforming their careers over 6 weeks. If you think this could be you, check out mx4course.com to schedule a free half-hour coaching call with me to see if we'd be a good fit. So, let's get started. Jenna, Brad, and Lauren are participants in my MX4 course. They are songwriters and composers and teachers and all over the place and pursuing artistic careers. Michael Whalen, I am super grateful to have on this interview. You guys did all your research on him. Emmy winning composer, songwriter, producer, in a publishing deal with Warner Chappell, that's correct, a film scorer. He just got back from South Africa producing a live show from the Bali Brothers. Yeah, big deal, doing a piano ambient record. Sort of one of those, another one of these many hats people. Also a professional in the world of monetization and sort of the new model of the music business. He's spoken in front of Congress about copyright laws. So he's kind of, the resource to be talking to about how to wear many hats and to make the most out of opportunities so that it turns into money and all that sort of stuff. So that was my interview. I want to sort of pass it to Michael to kind of give a how'd you get to where you are now, what sort of lights you up the most, and sort of take it from there. And then these guys have some questions prepared that we'll dive into in a little bit. So.
All right. Well, cool. So guys, it's great, Cheryl. Thanks so much for inviting me to be here and, giving me an opportunity to speak. So, my background is I started in advertising. So 30 years ago, I started doing music for advertising, and it's kind of grown. And then I started doing television, and then I started doing films, and then I started doing music supervision, which is picking the songs that actually go in the films and the TV shows. And then about 15 or 20 years ago, I have a hobby. One of my hobbies is copyright law. I know I'm weird. I have like a left brain and right brain thing. But I started talking to people about copyrights and about the future of copyrights. And so now I do consulting with a lot of companies. So like I talk to Google and I talk to Sony and I talk to CD Baby. And so these are all clients of mine in terms of consulting and talking about like what the future of copyright is and how to actually monetize music without selling it. So, one of the things, I'm working on a book right now, which is going to be out by the end of the year, which is talking about how to monetize music. And my basic theory is that the age of selling music is over. And that as an artist, you're going to have to figure out an entirely different way to make money. And there are lots of ways to make money. You just need to be thinking differently and being willing to have your music used slightly differently than the way it is now.
Cool. Advertising is a good place to start. You got like a lot of creative people in there, even though you're working for one product, and then you sort of get to explore all the different creativity outlets. But so as an artist, what's sort of the thing that lights you up the most in terms of the process of creating music, whether that's as a composer or as a songwriter, or does it change?
I think right now, I've done a lot of music in different genres. I just sent off my new album to be mastered today.
Awesome.
So, and it's a solo piano record, and my solo piano music has done really well. And I've been doing solo piano music really since the very first soundtrack. My very first soundtrack came out in 1993, and immediately the piano stuff I did on it, people found it really popular, and then I started being on some compilations. And then I did my first full-length album in 1999. And then I did an album in 2005 called My Secret Heart, which is really popular. And I think what excites me now as an artist is to pretty much do whatever I want to do. And I know it's going to sound silly, but I think artists spend way too much time thinking about what's going to sell and not enough time thinking about like what it is they need to say personally. And I think that it's much more important to be talking about or expressing what is the most personal to you rather than thinking, okay, well, this is popular at the moment. Let me go do something like this. Because, frankly, the moment you decide that you're going to follow other people, you're always going to be behind the curve. And Cheryl and I see this with advertising. I mean, because Cheryl does so much advertising music, and you see, agencies will come to us and they'll be like, can you do something like blah, blah, blah? And it's because it's popular on the radio at that moment. But that has nothing to do with the longevity of anything. And I think for myself as an artist, the most satisfying music that I've done is the stuff that's the most personal to me. So this new album I'm doing is very personal. It's called You Are My Home. That's what my wife always says to me, You Are My Home. And, the music on it is very, very personal. So, yeah, it really took me years to get past thinking about what I thought was going to be popular. It really took me a long time. So if you guys can start really focusing on yourself and what is important to you and what it is you actually want to express authentically, like really, your music's going to be more satisfying. I think it's going to be a much more fulfilling process. And then, frankly, I think people are going to connect with it much better. I mean, I think if you try to write music that appeals to everyone, it's going to appeal to nobody. Versus making music that is very personal, and then people are going to find themselves in your experience. And I think that is actually going to connect with people much better.
Yeah, that's really great. Let's thanks for that.
Sure.
Let's dig into see what questions you guys have and what conversations we can start from what you guys have sort of researched and found that you would want to know. Let's just start on my screen on the left here. Jenna, did you have any questions for Michael that you found?
Well, congrats on all your success. It's amazing. I wanted to ask, I see that you wear a lot of hats, a lot of different roles, that's the same thing with me. Like I'm teaching, and I'm an artist, and I'm a songwriter. But sometimes I get lost in how to balance everything. So I wanted to know how is that? Do you have any like systems in place, or you kind of just move with it, or what has worked for you?
Well, I mean, I know this is going to sound really, what's the word I want? It's going to sound really obvious, but it's going to schedule it. So, Ernest Hemingway used to write every day. He used to get up and write every day. No matter where he was, no matter what came out, he used to write every day. So one of the things that I do is I have a structure for actually doing writing every day. Now, the new thing for me, the new thing I have to balance is writing the book. So now some of my music writing time is going towards book writing. But it's all about like, how am I going to allocate that time? So I spend at least 2 to 3 hours a day writing. So whether that's music writing or book writing, or sometimes I write articles or blog posts or that kind of thing. So that's number one. Number two is I think it's how do you relate to your schedule? Because one of the things that in my other hat is that I'm a course leader. So I lead courses for an organization called Landmark, and it's a company which does personal training and development. And one of the things I've learned out of doing work at Landmark for 10 years is how do I relate to my schedule? Because a lot of people look at their schedule and they're like, ugh. And they forget that all the things they put in their schedule, they chose. It's like no one sentenced you to go do that thing at that time, except that you start relating to your schedule like, oh, I can't believe I got that meeting on Wednesday. Oh my God. But you scheduled it 2 weeks ago. Like, what's that? So it would be sort of irresponsible for me to just be like, okay, well, Jenna, we'll just schedule it and work out your life. It's a combination of schedule it and also relate to your schedule in such a way where it's really going to empower you. The way I do it is I am very responsible about how I schedule stuff. So like I have really 3 things to do today. This is one of 3 things I'm doing today. So like, I sent my album off to be mastered. I'm doing this, and I have like one other meeting today, and then I'm going to do some writing tonight, but it's not crammed with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think one of the things that happens is everybody tries to put, 10 pounds of grain into a 5-pound bag, and then what happens is nothing happens. You don't fulfill in anything, you get really frustrated, and you start dealing with your schedule in such a way where you don't do anything. You're not moving on anything, and you start relating to the whole thing like it's a total hassle. So I think the basic answer to your question about balance is schedule, relate your schedule in an empowering way, understand that you're the person who's making the choices, and if you're not going to schedule yourself, sort of ass to elbow every day, then you're going to have to start making some priorities about what's important.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So so Jenna, what's important to you? Like, what's something that's really important to you as a project right now?
Well, right now I'm building my teaching studio for the spring and summer season.
Great.
For financial, to keep things moving. Things tend to slow down, so I have to pick up the marketing. So, yeah.
Picking up the marketing. Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. All right. So inside of that, like, what's an action you can see to take that you would have to put in your schedule?
I really want to get a really nicely designed online poster so I can email for like an email poster kind of thing.
Right. So you got a poster, and how long do you think that will take you to do?
Not probably. I can make a good one in like I think 45 minutes. I've done it before, so yeah.
Okay, cool. So one of the things, the reason why I'm asking you this is that this is sort of like the next piece, which is, so if you're going to write something, think about what is the intention of what it is you're going to write. So like, say you're going to write a piece of music.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've written songs, and I'm sure Cheryl had too. I've written songs in like less than an hour, but that doesn't always happen.
Mm-hmm.
So part of what you want to do when you schedule is you actually want to create a structure which is not just going to empower you, but it's also going to allow you to put enough time into something where you can actually do something with integrity.
Right.
You're not going to rush through it. You're not just going to blow through it. It's like, okay, so if it's going to take you 45 minutes to do a poster, maybe you schedule an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So maybe it gives you some time to try out some stuff. Maybe it gives you time to have some breakdowns. Maybe it gives you a time to say, hey, you know what? There's another image I want to find. Hey, I want to try something. Maybe I want to do 2 versions.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So now the time you're taking is now you're now giving yourself space to actually develop it, and it's all in your schedule. Mm-hmm. And if you finish early, then you can, I don't know, go get a glass of iced tea or something like. But then you've got some space. You're not frantic.
Yeah.
Because I talk to people all the time who are frantic, and how in the world can you be creative in a world where you're frantic all the time?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And you said you do 3 things per day, or just today you had 3 things?
I mean, I have some days where I have 15 things, but over like in this, like today's like a normal day. Mm-hmm. Like 3 things, 4 things tops, because it gives me an opportunity to like slide some things around. If somebody texts me or calls me and says, hey, let's schedule something, I've got space on the fly to create something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I'm not a slave to my schedule, and I'm a master of it, and I've got some time where I can actually create some stuff. I can start drawing outside the lines, which is really where creativity is born, right?
Right.
If I schedule 3 hours to write and all of a sudden I'm really on a roll and I don't have another thing scheduled for an hour, sure, I'll go another 15, 20 minutes. Why not? Mm-hmm. I'm on a roll, let's go. But I have space for it, though. And I'm not thinking, like, my brain's not, like, going, oh, no, so now I got to dump out of this.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Thank you.
Awesome.
Very welcome.
Yeah, that's a great conversation. We're in our final week of this course, Michael. I don't know if I told you, and this whole last week is like putting structures into place and getting related to the calendars and like goals, breaking it down, results, what are the actions you need to take to get, the baby steps and everything. And then when do they happen? Like putting them out there instead of on a to-do list, like actually putting them into the schedule. And that's
awesome.
That's like the maintaining how this, like the energy of this course and the motivation and the accountability that can last beyond. So this is like such a perfect conversation. So thanks, Jenna. That's an awesome question.
It's completely awesome because, guys, if you look at anyone who's really effective in their life, performance. So performance is solely a product of action. So what a lot of people do is they sit on the couch and they think about taking actions. They go, see, look how busy I am. I'm having all these thoughts. And it's like, wow, I'm really burning things up with my thoughts versus what actions are you taking because your performance or non-performance is solely a product for your actions. And if you can boil it all the way down to that, I mean, you can become such an efficient person. You can really, really start being effective. And like your whole life will change, like a lot.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Thanks, Michael. Brad, any questions that popped up for you for Michael?
I do. I have several that I wrote down, but one just came to mind, and I want to thank you, Michael, for saying to write what you want to express most, and not worry so much about following the crowd, because I've heard the following the crowd thing enough to say that. But what you said kind of triggered another question in my mind, and that was writing what you want to express. I get that. I want to, that's where it's happening. But when you're writing for film and TV, and the music supervisor wants something that's, this style, and it sounds like one of these three groups, and how do you balance that? How do you kind of?
It's a really good question. I mean, because I'm a guy who's done a couple of scores, and I'm also a music supervisor, and and now I'm starting to produce films. I'm actually, a lot of people don't know this, but I'm actually producing 3 films. So, and what's interesting is that they're all music projects. So now I have 3 hats in film. So the answer to your question is get hired for film projects where you can be yourself. So if you're going to sell yourself as a jack of all trades, you're going to get what you get. And a music supervisor is going to basically use you like a music library and say, okay, Brad, well, this is what we need, and this is what we need, and if we can't get this song, can you replace this, and can you do that? So you're going to get that. Versus, if you want me to do what I do, awesome. So, I've gotten to a point in my career, when I write a film score, they pretty much know that if they have me do it, I'm going to go be me. Now, that's not to say that I'm not going to work with a director, and we're not going to spot, and we're not going to, talk about textures and colors, and we're not going to do all that stuff. But the other side of it is that I think it's really important for all people to say, look, I am who I am. You want to hire me for who I am. Do not hire me for who I'm not. Because I think it's really important for you to be really setting yourself up to win. And a lot of composers set themselves up to lose. And lose is not putting yourself in a situation where you can do your best work, not creating an expectation where you can actually fulfill on or really over-deliver on what they're asking you for. Because the way you get called back to do the next gig and the next gig and the next gig is really over-delivering on what you promised. And then the third way you really set yourself up is that you're creating a vocabulary in the film score, which is both serving the film and it's something that's actually going to be really exciting for you. Because if you're going to do something that's boring, then you might as well go work at Starbucks or something. The bottom line is you really want to be true to yourself. You really want to be somebody who is going to be a resource for the director, and then you've got to find that balance. You've got to find that balance between here I am, and this is what you need. Now, I can tell you as a music supervisor, there's a huge conversation that happens. Everyone thinks I spend time in a bathtub, listening to music, there's just waiting for songs to come to me. No. Mm-hmm. As a music supervisor, I very rarely put music in that I like. I know this is going to sound really bizarre, but if it's not serving the movie, if it's not serving the storyline, if it's not serving the vision of the director, if it's not serving the budget, because you have initial meetings and people have got these wish lists of songs, and I was like, guys, good luck. And I do a really good job working inside of indie budgets, and I do a good job with that. But I think one of the things that you'll find as a composer is the music supervisor who's telling you to do whatever it is you're doing is probably suffering at the same rate that you are. What the two of you probably want to do is have a conversation that says, how do we free ourselves from the supposed tos and gottas of this project so you can get what you want and you can deliver what you said you were going to deliver to the producer and the director, and as a composer, I can really have a fulfilling time and I can still serve the needs of this movie. So it took me 30 years of scoring movies before I could tell you that. But again, it's sort of like Jenna's question. It's a balanced conversation where you really want to just be as straight as possible about what it is who you are and what you do, and you're there to be of service all at the same time. So it is a balance.
Can you do that when you're first starting out, or do you just like, here's a gig, I got to take it kind of thing?
Well, I mean, why do you got to take it?
Get paid, credit, whatever. I mean, when you have nothing, you got to start somewhere, right?
True, but here's a thought. Unless they're paying you so much money that it's really going to be the difference between you paying your rent and not paying your rent, I think that you probably should be thinking about only doing projects that are really setting you up to win, like a lot, because you don't want to be known to being like the jack of all trades. Because early in my career, I was that guy. I was like, the movie is burning down. They just kicked out their composer. Hey, let's get Michael Whalen because he's good and fast and blah, 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 blah. And over the last 10 or 15 years, it's like, I don't take those phone calls anymore. It's not worth it. It's like, even if they're going to pay you, even if they're going to pay you well, it's not worth it, because at the end of the day, you're exhausted, you're resentful. Like, it's like they've taken a piece of your soul or something, versus like, hire me to do what I do. And I think people will actually respect you if they hear your music and you say, look, this is what I do. It's not all I do, but this is what I do. So hire me for what I do, and I promise I'm going to do a great job for you.
We talked about creating the reels as well, and this is something that Brad's made. Like he came in with like, I want to be a composer, and over 2 weeks he made a website, made his reels. He just found videos online that he could legally download and just score. And we were talking about scoring those videos in a way, like, what are the perfect ideal poof magic wand, you have the ideal gig composing, what would that music look like to you? So make that your reel, and then you'll start getting jobs that, if you don't want to do hip hop or jazz, don't put hip hop and jazz on your reel. Like, why would you do so? That's the sort of, and you did that a really great job, Brad. So I think you're further than you think you are in this conversation of getting the scoring jobs that you want. I just want to put that in there.
Yeah, and Brad, so in doing these demo scores, I mean, do you, not only is the music representative of you, but is it like who you are as a composer?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Because that for me, that's really the key to this whole conversation.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the thing is that you don't want to put anything out there that's not you. I mean, one of the things that I'm wrestling with my publisher right now. I mean, Cheryl said that I have a publishing deal with Warner Chappell, and I do music, I do dubstep music, I do pop music, whatever, but I don't do it as me. I do it under another name because Michael Whalen, the orchestral, classical, film scoring guy, is probably not going to do some of this other stuff.
Dubstep.
And so, does it work to have a nom de plume? Yeah. Well, in this particular case, yeah, I guess so. But it's given me some space to go and explore and do some stuff that I really wanted to do, and it's fun. So you want to be aware of what you're putting out to people. What are you known for? Your reputation is really important, guys. And not only is your reputation important in terms of the work that you do, but your reputation is crucial in terms of who are you in terms of your integrity. Because people want to know that, okay, if I hire Brad to score my movie, Brad's going to deliver. Like if you go to my IMDb page, you'll see all the stuff I've done. Like I have a track record. So if you hire me, I'm going to deliver. You know why? Because I've done it hundreds of times. So in your guys' cases, you really want to be known as a person of reputation. You really want to be somebody who's known to be your word. That's really what it comes down to.
Cool.
Yes,
Thanks.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
great question, Brad.
Very
Thanks. We'll probably get another round of questions in. So, Brad, I know you've got more, but let me jump to Lauren, and then we'll loop back around. Lauren, any questions from Michael?
Yeah. Mine is more on the creation side. So I'm in the process right now of I have a song that I wanted to make like an a cappella chorus arrangement of, and it's been a very long time since I've been in an orchestration class. So I'm wondering what are your kind of tips for turning a song that I kind of already have that's was written as this song and kind of I'm kind of unsure of how to approach it into like kind of translating it to a more, to a different format.
Production hat for Michael now. We went from the time management hat to the how do you produce?
Yeah, we're going to a lot of places in just a short amount of time. So talk to me a little bit about how you want this to get done. So this is for a concert, you said?
Yeah.
And you want to do an arrangement of this? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like an a cappella women's chorus version.
Okay. I love doing vocal arranging, and Cheryl does too, and I love doing vocal arranging. I think one of the things that is the most important when you take on anything like this is it has to sing. Now, there's a lot of people who arrange stuff and it looks good on paper, or you think theoretically it will work, but it's got to sing. So this actually kind of goes back to the conversation we were just having with Pat. Is like, you really want to set yourself up to win, and you want to set up the people that you are creating music for to win. So one of the things that for 30 years that I've gotten great feedback from, whether it's the scoring work I've done or the classical work I've done, is that people sit down with my stuff and they go, it's very idiomatic. You know what that word means?
Nope.
Idiomatic is like if I'm like, so I've written a bunch of clarinet pieces. I've never played the clarinet. I don't know how to play the clarinet, but I've written a lot of clarinet pieces, and clarinet players love it because it just falls under their fingers. The parts just fall under their fingers. So one of the things that you want to be thinking about when you're doing an arrangement of anything is, what is the experience of the person who's actually going to be singing or performing your stuff? What is it going to be? Now, there are some composers, like Ligeti, and there's other people like that, John Cage, they want to stress out the performer because that's part of the performance, right? I think in terms of process, the first step would be to be thinking about what's the intention. What do you want to leave people with this? Is this like a peaceful piece? Is this like a fun piece? Like, what is this?
It's just like a really soft, like, oh, okay, there's snow, we're chilling, we're like inside, we're snuggled up, it's winter, we got hot chocolate. As far as like what people feel when they hear the song.
So I think that whenever you do an arrangement of anything, you have to have the intention in front of you from the beginning, the middle, and the end. So like if you're not actually present to the intention, what's going to happen with your arrangement is you're probably not going to give people the feeling that you want to leave them with at the end. So if I was taking on writing a piece like this, what I would be doing would be working with the melody and then be thinking about color-wise, what do I need to bring in? Because like my approach on doing a piece like this would probably put in as little as possible harmonically and have it be about the melody. And then what can you be doing that might suggest color harmonically? Like maybe there's like a chord or a phrase or there's a turn of something that just like sort of suggests something, and then you're right back in it small again. And so it's always like you're pushing something out and it's coming right back in again, but it's always about the intention. If the intention is to be soft and you want to leave people with it like being beautiful, you've got to stay inside the intention all the time. Because you can always hear a rookie arranger, because what's going to happen is they'll be great for like 8 bars, 12 bars, and they'll be like, hey, watch this. And be like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then what tends to happen is that the intention falls apart, the song is lost because it's about the arrangement, and then at the end of the day, you're kind of, how do I want to say this? It's more about the technical part of the arranging rather than like giving the audience what it is you want to give them. Because I think, and I do this all the time with pop producers. Pop record producers do this all the time. The production is so much about them and not enough about the song, and not enough about the artist, and not about like what the message is or what the intention is. So if you can stay with that in terms of the arrangement and keep it about the melody and keep it about the words, simple. Simple is okay. It doesn't have to be sexy. It doesn't have to be crazy. And then be looking for opportunities for where you can be putting in the color.
Cool. Awesome.
Helpful?
Thanks.
Cool. So in our last 5 minutes, I wanted to sort of ask a more generic question for Michael that I know a lot of it, we were talking on the break that everyone's interested in is we have these CDs, we have songs we've produced, we have our own libraries, whether they're just 12 songs on our last record or new songs that we haven't produced yet. But the new model of selling isn't the way to make money off of it. We have dove into monetization on YouTube a little bit.
Okay.
But I sort of want to see what your thoughts are on what you think this new model is, using music that we already have produced. Where's the passive income sort of going to come from if it's not from actually selling directly to a fan?
All right, so I'm going to give you guys like sort of a philosophy, which is pretty much all the time I have for this. But here's the thing. I think most people, when they create videos on YouTube, they throw stuff up there and they hope that people see it. And they don't think about having the music be discoverable. That's very important. The music has to be discoverable. And the way things are discoverable on YouTube is the description. That little paragraph or 2 paragraphs that you put is really important because all the spiders, all the little Google spiders, that's really important. Text, because most people find music on YouTube doing text searches, and most of that comes from the descriptions. The second thing is that keywords. The keywords that you put in are really, really, really important. So you want to like load up your videos with keywords. It's like this, it's like that, it's a description, it's a feeling, it's a mood. So if you have 50, 60, 100, 150 keywords on a video, that's another way it's going to be discoverable. And then the last way things are going to be discoverable is by having a thumbnail picture on your YouTube videos, which is really appealing. And that's going to give people, it's going to really invite them to check out your video. So obviously the thumbnail picture should be from your video or representative of your video. There's that. So that's 3 sort of classic YouTube tips in terms of getting your stuff out there. But the idea, guys, is that you want your stuff to be used. You want to encourage your fans to put your music in playlists. You want to have other artists, promoting your stuff, and you want to be promoting other artists' stuff. And the idea here is that there's no scarcity in terms of the number of plays. You're not competing with other artists on YouTube. The monetization pie is so big that having other artists support each other and saying, hey, wow, I found Lauren's music and it's really great, and I threw it in my playlist. The whole key here is to get as many plays as possible of your music. And the key here is to have your art, eventually, this may freak you out, eventually to have your fans make their own videos. So one of the things I'm going to be doing with my new album is, yes, I'm selling it. Yes, I'm doing a Pledge Music campaign. But in the fall, I'm actually going to put the entire album up on my website and say, guys, you can download it for free. You can make your own videos on YouTube. Have a nice time. So yes, they'll do a little like email register thing and I'll know who they are and whatever. Download the track, and then send me the link to the video that you did and off you go. And they can use it for free because the music's going to be automatically monetized. And I want to have them using this music. I want them out there, using it for their kitty cat videos and using it for their wedding videos and all of that stuff, because I think philosophically artists have got to change their whole orientation to copyrights from, this is mine, I've got to keep it, to, you know what, I've created this thing and I want everyone to hear it. And you really want to free people and empower people to be using your stuff. And you can't be holding on to it as tightly as generations past. And does that mean that, you shouldn't be afraid of someone copying your stuff? Well, hey, they might. But at the end of the day, I think that philosophically, you've got to be willing to let go and get your stuff out there rather than protecting it. Because the more you protect it, the more you're going to smother your music, the more it's not going to be heard, it's not going to be discovered, and then you're not going to get, your stuff monetized. I mean, I could do days on monetization, but the basic components of it, I just gave you sort of the basic sort of discoverable components of it. But, you need to sign up for, Google AdWords, and you need to do, all that stuff to make sure that the monetization that you get is actually get, into your hands. But philosophically, you really want to be about letting go of your music. So that's the kind of the 5-minute version.
Very awesome. Michael, thank you so much. Best website for people to go sort of hear your music, see what you're all about. What is that?
MichaelWhalen.com. You can check out my stuff. It's got, it's a hub to everything. You can go to my YouTube page. You can go to my SoundCloud page. I have my Pledge Music campaign. You got a link there. If you guys are so moved, you guys can, pledge for my new album, which would be great. The thing that's really cool about this album is that it is a video album. So not only am I doing 11 songs, but I'm creating 11 videos, and everything's going to be released simultaneously. So it's going to come out to iTunes, and it's all going to be released to YouTube simultaneously. So it's going to be the first New Age ambient album where there's going to be videos for everything. So it's going to be cool.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Michael. This is really valuable. I will absolutely let you know when this is up. And you guys, thanks for your questions and your listening. Yes, awesome to have you, Michael.
Guys, thanks so much. Have a great day, guys.
All right, next week we're going to be speaking with Dave Kuhl of Bandzoogle. We're going to be talking about website design and branding and all things that you need to know in order to really put your best foot forward out there in the internet. Please don't forget to rate and comment on iTunes and Stitcher Radio if you like this podcast. It's the best way to keep it going, get more subscribers, and continue to share this awesome information with the indie music community. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. All of the music on this podcast has been created by yours truly. The theme song is called Inevitably, written with Cameron Ernst and produced by Joey Ock. You can find all the songs, plus more information on my music career at CherylBE.com. If you want to be one of the reasons I can keep this podcast and my blog Living on Gigging going, then head to patreon.com/CBEmusic. There, you can contribute $1, $2, $5 for the creation of each of these free musician resources. Together, we can keep them coming and inspire other creative people to do what they love and do it well. Again, that's patreon.com/CBEmusic. Key Conversations is sponsored in part by Bandzoogle. They make it easy to build a beautiful website for your music. Their step-by-step system gets you online in minutes, and you can choose from hundreds of mobile-friendly themes and customize them with their easy point-and-click editor. All the features you could possibly imagine for a professional website are built in. So, because you are a Key Conversations podcast listener, you get a special 3-month free trial just for you. Go to www.inthekeyofsuccess.com/resources and click on the Bandzoogle logo to access your free extended trial.